Coming to you from our opulent and luxurious 4x8 refurbished broom closet at the national headquarters in Indianapolis. With duct tape studio lights and a mic that you barely can hear, we hope to entertain and educate you. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
All right, we are back here at the Tango Alpha Lima podcast. We have escaped the broom closet and we've extended our reach all the way down to Montgomery, Alabama. And today we have a special edition of the Tango Alpha Lima podcast. I'm going to introduce everybody real quick and you can wave and put on your best face for radio. First up, we have Jimmy Mathews. He walked on this. He started in Mississippi. I hear they have a river there. The second person, we have John Ring, who started this whole thing. He has walked, and I guarantee anybody who's listening, his Fitbit steps are more than your Fitbit steps. Number 3, we have James Gillespie. He is the membership assistant for the Department of Alabama, and he gives us 2 thumbs up. After that, we have Greg Akers, the adjutant of the Department of Alabama. We get a wave. And after that, we have Jason Hanner. He walked across the great Lone Star State of Texas. So the walkers here, you've been on a great mission, and I'm doing hashtag no spoilers because we're going to let you tell your story a lot here today. And to do that, we're going to ask you just a few broad questions and then let you just run with it. I'm going to let my friend here, Ashley, and
his friend.
That is my good friend, even though she's from Ohio.
His army friend. His army friend. I just want to point
and I don't know if you know, the Ohio State Buckeyes and Alabama have announced a home and home series coming up in the near future.
Oh, that's exciting.
So you can be on my side against Ashley, just so you know that. So Ashley Gorbolja.
Can't get into football into this. It's going to be a bad day.
Uh-oh. Can I say your name now?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Ashley Gorbolja Maldonado is going to start this off and get you involved.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction and for correctly pronouncing my name. Practice makes perfect. And he can spell it with crayons. Anyway, so thank you so much for joining us on this amazing podcast, our Tango Alpha Lima podcast. Fantastic. So we're going to get the ball rolling. So, no pun intended. So, I read this story. I'm just going to start here. So I read this story and I was deeply inspired. And I'm sure that the conversation has been flowing, and I want to know, what inspired this initiative, this walk? And these are for my walkers for my Texas and my I just tell me what's going on.
Well, last summer in 2019, I was on social media posting about PTSD and stuff like that, and I actually had a female veteran served in the United States Army. She was in vet court in Chatham County in Georgia, and she kind of reached out and told me her story, dealing with MST, dealing with addiction. She got injured before getting out of the Army, got addicted while serving, and came out of the military battling that addiction. Years went by, and she, still battling the addiction. She got arrested for trying to sell to get more money, to get more pills, and it was just a long history of just battling that addiction, PTSD. And so I went to the vet court there because she had told me that she was being poorly treated. She wasn't able to go to the VA. She was going to the county treatment facility where there was nobody there that understood PTSD, what it was like to serve, and military sexual trauma. So I went before the judge, I went before the treatment staff. I didn't make any friends, that's for sure. But I went to bat for her, and not just for her, because I found out there was a lot of other veterans in the same situation, all different stories, but the same outcome. And after a battle, and after a lot of people not liking me, she was able to go to the VA, She went into the STAR program, and she was able to get the help she needed. But then I started seeing, a lot of other veterans falling in the cracks. It's mostly veterans that were in the criminal justice system that really, veterans don't have that loud of a voice to begin with. Put them in the criminal justice system, and they have a voice. And September 4th, after I sat on the porch with a former U.S. Army Ranger, was out since '85, battling addiction, dealing with anger issues, PTSD. I sat on his porch for about 4 hours to calm him down out of a situation he was having with his significant other. And I say, you know what? I need to do something here much bigger than just, sit on this man's porch. Yes, it was important to be there, but, everywhere you look, you see veterans dealing with issues. I've seen veterans do this before. I still serve in the 48th Infantry Brigade, Georgia Army National Guard, and I was supposed to ETS, so that's how I was able to plan this. And so I put the plan together and set out on October 1st to walk 2,462 miles. Didn't really have.
Wait. Can you say that again? One more time. How many miles?
2,462 miles from the Tybee Island Pier to the Santa Monica Pier in California.
That is amazing, John. I had soldiers that I can't, if I had to tell them they had to run X amount of laps, I can't even imagine. But for you to take on such a feat to not only advocate for individuals who are underrepresented and not spoken for is incredibly powerful. And I commend you for that, because just as a woman veteran, I appreciate you being an ally and support of other women veterans that are in that kind of situation, because they also too will then fall below that percentage mark as well as unheard and unrepresented. So I commend, this is fantastic. This kind of just, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh no, I was going to say that I'm going to echo everything that Ashley just said. And I want to remind people, because we didn't get this out at the beginning, your mission, it was called, it was Buddy Watch. And now after you've said that story, that kind of gives a little background into the name. So maybe we did this in the right order. You telling the story of your actual friend, and now we're letting people know about the Buddy Watch. Now, before I get into the second area, can you tell people where they can get more information about you and maybe read about the story?
Sure. We're on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Buddy Watch Walk, Pier-to-Pier. And we also have a website. It's www.buddywatchwalk.com. And the idea behind Buddy Watch Walk is there's a nonprofit organization called Buddy Watch Incorporated right off of Fort Stewart, trying to build tiny homes. Miss Jo Coleman, she's the founder of that. She's been working for years. Her son is dealing with a lot of issues related to serving. We didn't learn this right away, but out on the walk, we put the pieces together. Jimmy actually served with Jo Coleman's son. So, there was a lot of that on the walk of things that wow, we're kind of exactly where we're supposed to be, doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Wow. That's powerful.
It's amazing. So our second area that we want to talk about, and if you want to weave in California a little bit, because I heard you actually went right by my house and you started at my post, but I was running the blood drive that day and I missed it, and I apologize for that. But I hear that you have a great story about your introduction to the Department of Alabama and getting them involved. Can somebody share that story?
Well, let's let John start the story before I pick up from there.
I was in Montgomery for a few days, and it was actually November 1st. I was stepping out of Montgomery. It was the first cold day of the walk. I actually wore pants that day. And so I was.
I was thankful for that fact, I promise you.
But I was walking up the street here, and it was windy and I saw the flags flying and I was like, I wonder what that is. And I was curious, wanted to see things while I was out walking, and I saw it was the state office or American Legion, and it was pretty early. I think it was like 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I came walking up and knocked on the door.
Yeah.
Nice.
I sit at the very first desk in the department office. We have a foyer area that leads to our memorial area, and the front door is a secure door. You have to get buzzed in and everything. The buzzer wasn't working exactly right, and I didn't hear it. And I get a phone call, and I had turned in my desk to my other side, and I was working on a report at the time. Get a phone call, I answer the phone, thank you for calling American Legion. How may I help you? He's like, yeah, man, I'm standing at your door. I'm like, what? I don't, hey, I'll be out there in a minute, man. And I hung the phone up, man. I cracked the door open. I was like, can I help you? John's like, yeah, man, I'm so-and-so. I sent you a message and said I might be stopping by. I was like, phone's in there. I guess I missed something. I didn't get the message. I don't know. He's like, no, it was on Facebook. I was like, oh, you're that guy. And I was like, okay, come on in, man. I said, let's get some coffee. Made him a cup of coffee. I said, have a seat, man. Let's talk. And I said, tell me what's going on. And it still had not truly clicked with me exactly who John was at that moment. Got a cup of coffee, and we're sitting there at the desk, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm walking from Georgia to California. I was like, why? I said, why would you do that? I don't like walking across the parking lot. But he said, yeah, man, it's for this and this. It's like, I read about that. I said, I checked up. I said, I saw your link and everything. I said, man, what can we do? I said, what do you need? What can we do? I said, what is it that we can help with on this? I said, I personally, whether anybody else does, I said, I want to be whatever you need to be for this. And so we got talking in depth, and we probably spent, till almost lunchtime.
Yeah, I was way behind schedule.
Yeah, you're welcome. But that steak was good, though. Our auxiliary secretary was in the office that day. Greg was out of the office. VA appointment. Yeah,
I was 4 hours.
He went to the black hole. Just jokes aside on that. We've got a pretty good VA. Honestly, it's getting better. But Greg was out. I was here, and I said, well, hey, man, I said, where's your next stop? He goes, well, I was going to go up to Prattville, and I was going to camp out right here. And he pointed to the spot on the map. I was like, nah, man. I said, let me do this. Let me get you a motel room for the night. And I said, I'll get you put up for the night. I said, as a matter of fact, our Legion post, which is post 133 in Millbrook, has steak night tonight. I said, let me feed you, man. I said, let me get you a good hot meal. It's the best steak you'll probably have the entire trip. I said, don't let Texas lie to you. And I said, just come on. I said, get you a good hot shower, good night's sleep. Don't hold up. It's going to be cold tonight. I said, and that'll put you right about where you're wanting to kick your time off for tomorrow to make it to Selma, Alabama, which is about 40 miles from here. And he's like, it's like, nah, come on, man, let me do it. He's like, all right, I'll do it. So I got in the motel room. He struck out, and he texted me. He said, hey, man, he said, what's this Patriot Grill about? It was a restaurant that was right outside of Maxwell Air Force Base on Maxwell Boulevard. I was like, yeah, man, they got really great food. Just stop in there, man, grab you some lunch. I said, they'll take real good care of you. Ended up, they fed him for free when they found out what was going on, and put him on his way. And he made it up to Prattville, and he's just texting me all this stuff as he's walking up Highway 31 into Prattville. Just like it's a lot of nature up 31 and a lot of resource and everything like that, but it's also kind of an urban area all in the same hand. And of course he crosses the Alabama River on the bridge, and he's like, man, this is cool. And so we get to talking and pick him up. I text Greg and said, hey man, this guy here, I said, check out the link. I said, I'll have him up at the post tonight for steak nights. You want to come up and sit and talk with him? He's like, absolutely, love to do that. So we met up with Greg at the post. And I let the post commander know that we were coming in and everything. There's a bunch of folks there that really greeted John with open arms and really wanted to hear some stories from him and stuff like that. And I'm gonna let Greg pick it up from dinner at the post.
I just walk up his blind. You know, I don't know that he's been here since 8:30 because somebody don't text me till like 3, and I'm 45 minutes to an hour away.
Hey, I was behind on my reports.
Yeah, he was very behind. I get to the post, which 133 is where I started my membership here in Alabama, and now I'm in a new post that we started in the town I live in. But so yeah, almost at least 2 Friday nights a month I'm at the post. And so we go and say, go ahead and take him over, I'll meet you there. So we go and he introduces me to John. Me and John sit in the corner and we start talking. And he goes, well, I've reached out to VFWs and Legions and DAVs. I just haven't had a lot of support. Well, let's see what we can do about that. So yeah, he was skeptical because, you know, he'd heard the promises before that we'll help you out and look out for you and all that jazz. Told him about the veterans retreat we do for PTSD and how it's the veterans suicide prevention is our #1 priority. Alabama has we like to lead things, but this is a category we don't like to lead, and that's veteran suicide. We've been either #1 or #2 in the nation on every report that comes out. But every time it flops, it's about like a 0.5%. So it's not like we're making a huge dent. The programs we've got now, we're starting to take the swings at them. So we instantly bonded because that was, our heart was both of that. So told James I had another VA appointment today. On Monday, I says, call Mississippi, make sure the adjutant knows what's going on, get his route, let him know where they're going, find their post, get Selma involved, find out who's on his route, where they're going, the whole 9 yards. And I started tracking him at that point. I've got him on the page, and I say, well, where you at? Okay, so when he was about a couple of days making the next state, I was on the next department at it. The next department. Wow. The next department at it. Say, here's his number, call him, here's his route, follow him, tell your post to get there. And that's kind of what started the support from the Legion. It was just making phone calls and emails. Because if the other department agents like me, we have a lot of people come by and knock on the door. And you do a lot of background checks, and there's a lot of people that's just out there that use the system for personal gain, but John won't like it. So that's what it started in December. Our family's from Texas, so we go to Christmas, and I'm like, where you at? So I'm gonna link up with you. And Jimmy had linked up with him at that point, but Jimmy thought fishing was more important, so I didn't get to meet Jimmy. He went to go catch the biggins, is what I heard. But stopped and visited him for a little while there, and tracked him every step of him. And anytime he's running into a hurdle, we've tried to be there to try to knock him down, because there should not be a barrier for him walking.
The support that started here, it was like a domino effect all the way across the country until COVID. COVID kind of changed the game a little bit, but it was a domino effect. You know, I think there was one day in Mississippi that I actually carried my bag, my ruck. I had post commanders, district commanders, the state commander, Commander James Till came out, brought me lunch, grabbed my bag, took it to the next location. Sat down with him, and we talked for a while. And he actually he calls me probably every other week, or at least once a month. He'll call me, hey, where you at? What are you doing? Let me checking on you. And it's been like that in other states too. Louisiana, we had a great experience there. We had district commanders, kind of like tag. But one thing that everybody said was, we're actually meeting other Legion members that we didn't even know existed. Because they're driving all over places, and we actually, everybody that helped us with the Legion in Louisiana, we invited them to Shreveport hockey game, and so we had like everybody and a few other people that came out and supported us and helped us. We all met up at a hockey game in Shreveport. So I mean, it was just bringing people together, and it was kind of like, I don't know, long lost family, and people in the Legion meeting each other and just being supportive, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, it's one thing about it is Greg and I both kept up with John, and there was a few snide comments we made to each other here and there just to keep the stuff going.
Yeah, certain master sergeant got a little scruffy there for a little while. We had to
Yeah, he was a
Grumpy
little,
sergeant. We don't have our grumpy sergeant on here today. It's fun.
it was all in all. I told John when I dropped him off at the motel after dinner, I said, look, man, I don't care if it's 2:00 in the morning and you're in need of something and you're in the middle of Texas, you pick that phone up and you call me. I said, I've got you on the override on my phone to where if I've got it on silent, it'll ring regardless.
I told him don't call me to leave.
I said,
Like the ultimate version of I got your six. That's so impressive. I mean, this really just it's profound. Like the buddy walk, it's come to life. So I have to ask, John, like, were you expecting this kind of support? Like as soon as this happened, and now that you're seeing just these multiple legions and across the states just coming together, like how describe how that made you feel. I can't even imagine, but go ahead.
Well, before I even left, I reached out to veterans that have done this walk before. 73-year-old Air Force veteran William Shuttleworth, who ended last September with his walk. I reached out to some of these guys and I said, hey, look, what can I do to do it better than you? And they kind of like a little shocked by that because we all do things one. But no, like, I respect everything that we do. But, if we're going to raise awareness to the issues, we got to do it better and better and better. And I hope the person that comes along after us does it even better than us. And so I talked to some of these guys and they said, social media. Get social media because we failed at that. A lot of these guys didn't even have a social media presence until like halfway across the country. So I went right to work on that. But I was not expecting the support. These guys know when we walked up to the pier in Santa Monica, with California being behind with COVID and just everything going on with the riots, protesting, I was like, we're going to get like 20 people out there, but it was packed. I mean, it blew my mind. The Legion Riders, the Wounded Heroes Fund, the American Legion, Run for the Wall. I mean, there were so many people involved. Senator Grove out there, she really stepped up for us when we needed a lot of help. But I mean, it was just amazing seeing everybody there. So it really inspired me. And for me, like, I didn't even feel like that sense of like, okay, I completed something, because as soon as we were done, we had a veteran come up to me and say, I was almost one of those 22. Thank you for letting me come out and walk with you today. And it just like kind of like punched you in the throat, and it's like, you know what, I'm not done. Yeah, okay, I just did this walk, but I'm not done. We're not done, and we're just gonna keep going.
Wow.
That's awesome. And I was glad that you had a great experience in California. I hear you started at Hollywood Post 43, my post, and then ended in Santa Monica. I had another question written down, but I'm going to skip over that I want the gentleman on the flanks to join in on this conversation as well, because we haven't heard much yet from people from states like Mississippi and Texas. You're there, right? Let's represent. Okay, so the question is, what did you learn on this, and what did you learn, and what experiences stick out that you're going to take with you forever? Who's going to start? Do not be shy on me right now.
I learned a lot. Too much to really talk about. Pretty much it just confirmed everything that I was really going through already. Everything that I already had been seeing on social media. Everything that my soldiers had been reaching back to me, talking about they were struggling with. That just confirmed everything during the walk. Hearing all the stories from everybody, the family, former soldiers and sailors, airmen, just telling their stories. So, like John said, it just made you want to continue on and do more. It seems like there's so much more to do. As we're walking every day, every week, every month, people are reaching out to us saying, well, for me, one of my soldiers, one of his battle buddies committed suicide. And, you know, just it makes you feel like, you know, am I doing this in vain, or, you know, is it really helping? So it kind of like deflates you at a point, but then it also motivates you to continue on. So I just learned that veterans are struggling every day, no matter what people are doing, no matter what organizations are trying to help. It's just something inside that mental bubble that makes them want to be part of that 22. So we're just trying to get to the bottom of it.
Well, thanks. That was Jimmy Mathews, by the way, and you started in Mississippi, correct?
Yes, sir. I started in Mississippi.
Okay. And then I believe Jason, is it Hanner?
Yes, sir.
And you walked the great state of Texas. So do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I learned that I could like Army guys for long.
That jokes.
So for me, I walked a little bit in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then took every step of the way with them from El Paso all the way to the pier. So unlike Jimmy, I never saw combat. I was one of the fortunate few, but the stories along the way are just gut-wrenching what people go through, whether that's not being able to get into the VA or just not having those people to talk to. We had legions where cities were still shut down that took the legion underground so they could still get together and still have that camaraderie. I thought that was a powerful message. Totally. I learned that you can't sit on the sidelines. I've sat on the sidelines for the last 23 years since I got out. The Legion as a whole, and the VFW and everybody, I mean, really needs to pull that younger crowd in, and it's not happening because of people like me that are sitting on the sidelines. So I've got to get involved. I've learned that, and obviously walking a few hundred miles helps inspire. But
all right. So Ashley, do you have the most epic, important, poignant question that can end this experience for these gentlemen?
I certainly do.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to give a shout out. I'm National Guard, and I also did not see combat as well, but I definitely resonate with what everyone in the group is saying. It is very powerful. It is inspiring, and I know our listeners are inspired right now. But what's next? That's the big question. Like, what's next? So you got to Santa Monica Pier. You're talking about continuing on, moving forward, pushing the boundary, getting off from the sideline. What's next?
Well, I thought it was really funny because, you know, just like getting to the pier, we had a lot of comments on social media like, oh, I'm going to miss you guys. Like, I'm going to miss seeing Jimmy smile. You know, we miss us going back. But, you know, it's funny. We did a live video yesterday, and the first thing I was like kind of joking at is they thought we were gone, you know, thought we were done, you know. And so, I mean, that's kind of the approach that we're not going to be done. Working on a book. In the book, we're going to be doing a project called Eyes of Courage. It is a picture of a veteran's eye, and it's their story anonymously. I think it's really important for family members and veterans that are struggling to see some of the stories that other veterans have gone through, and whether they overcame or still dealing with those challenges. It's very important for veterans to realize, hey, I'm not alone in this fight. And so that's one thing we're working on. Plus, you know, the stories and, you know, just the veterans that we talk to throughout the journey. We have another walk planned for March 25th, 2022 from Normandy, France to Berlin, Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you guys, come on, get your passports ready. Dustin,
Passport's ready. Let's go. Send me what? Ready.
that one, we want to turn that one into a documentary. We'll be starting March 25th, 2022, and I want to end it on Memorial Day. And then while we're there, kind of focus on D-Day as well, and stuff like that. So we want to make that a documentary. We want to get it out there on Netflix. We want to, you know, pay tribute to World War II veterans and allies included, and just kind of, you know, I just want to show veterans that you can get involved, get off the sideline, like Jason said, and just get out there and do something, try to help, just
The mission continues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jason hit on this earlier. We have to get younger people, younger veterans involved into the VFW, the American Legions, the DAV, just all these organizations, because power is in numbers.
That's true.
Always will be. And as the numbers are going away, so does the power. So I've been preaching that this whole walk. Get involved.
Well, I'm certainly appreciative of all of your efforts to date and moving forward. I am going to make a request that you make the book a picture book for us Marines and use big font.
Include crayons.
And not a lot of words, not a lot of big words. Don't use big words, please. Now, just before we sign off, I want to make sure everyone gets recognized. If you could sound off your name, your branch, and if you are a Legion member, your post, please. Starting from your right, my left.
Jimmy Mathews, U.S. Army Master Sergeant retired, American Legion Post 345.
Where's that?
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. All right.
He was recruited by Mr. Paul Dillard.
Okay.
He was drafted.
Pretty good. Drafted.
literally couldn't say no. Okay, next.
John Ring, RING, Georgia Army National Guard, 48th Infantry Brigade, 133.
133.
Yep, post 133, Millbrook, Alabama.
Yeah, we asked him the infamous question, see his announced. Do you remember?
Right.
Do you want to get fed?
It's going to taste a lot better as a member.
Yeah, I've heard the steak does taste better indoors instead of waiting on the parking lot because you're not a member. So, all right. So who's next?
James Gillespie, United States Air Force National Guard, 187th Tactical Fighter Group, here in Montgomery. We are the home of the F-16s, and we're about to get the F-35s. We are also the home of the Red Tails. We pay homage back to Tuskegee.
Awesome.
I've been in and around the Legion since I was about 4 or 5. My dad, I'm going to resonate a little bit of what Jason said. My dad said when I was 21, guys your age needs to get involved and stay involved, otherwise we're going to lose our organization. And so I've not always taken stuff my dad said to heart, but I do now. He's no longer with us. And so he's still here kicking with me.
All right. So what's your home post? I know you work at the department.
Yeah, American Legion Post 133 in Millbrook.
There you go. All right, Adjutant, you're up.
Greg Akers, Department Adjutant, retired Staff Sergeant, Flight Engineer on Chinooks, 5,000 hours for combat tours.
What's your home post?
Post 216 in Clanton, Alabama.
All right.
All right.
You got one more.
Yeah, leave the Navy for last again, right?
Everybody needs to ride somewhere.
We delivered.
Not all of us swim.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so Jason Henry, United States Navy veteran. I was attached to a permanent detachment at Fallon Naval Air Station. So just like James, I was the world's second largest air force, right? But worked in avionics. I am a Legion member. I was recruited in New Mexico, but I have to tell you, this has been such a whirlwind. Was it Las Cruces?
Was it Las Cruces? Actually, yeah, it was Las Cruces.
I think it was Las Cruces, but I will tell you that I don't know the post.
He's in the pool. He's in the big pool.
Oh. All right. So any final words from Ashley?
Yes. So I just wanted to say this. Volunteerism, I think, is one of the greatest forms of democracy. You vote once a year about who your elected officials are. But when you volunteer in your community every day, you make a decision to impact and change lives every day and what kind of community that you want. And I think that this initiative is amazing for the military community. It is amazing for the American Legion community, and showing others that being there is so important. Just being there, having that camaraderie, because we're all human and we need each other, and we can accomplish anything. We put our minds together and walk. Lots of walking. Yes.
Too much walking. And from now on, when I go to the grocery
Jeff doesn't
store,
walk.
I'm going to park in the back of that lot instead of driving around trying to get the closest spot, because you've inspired me. And I mean, we're already making efforts to get younger veterans here. We have probably one of the youngest posts in the country.
Well, he does.
Collectively. And I mean, my post makes me feel old. That's how young we are. We have people that are still in. We have it's crazy. So I'm hopeful that you guys are going to spread that kind of message, and really kind of in a positive revolution kind of way, get us, that little extra vibrance that we need. And I want to thank you also for being here today on the Tango Alpha Lima podcast. We're going to get this out to dozens of listeners who are now going to know your mission and potentially buy your book. So I thank you again on behalf of Ashley, our missing Mark CB the Beard, and producer Holly. Thank you for joining us. Aw, poor producer Holly. She's awesome.
I said producer Holly. Okay. Come on now. She's listening.
So on behalf of all of them, thank you again for joining us on this special edition of the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
Thank you.